Okay, so today we're going to be going over a little bit more than usual. We're going to be going over 5 main topics. Put them on the screen. And it's just going to be about general ideas and how to improve and be able to see improvement. So first we'll be going over consistency, then we'll go over some positioning things, impacts, grenades, and then procedures. Procedures will be the last thing we'll go over. It'll probably be one of the most important and also least important things at the same time. Most important being, if you can get it down, it's going to be one of your biggest assets, but if you can't, then that's probably fine. You may not need it. So first we're going to be looking at consistency. And so the thing about consistency is you have a skill ceiling and a skill floor. So your skill floor could be here. Actually, we'll move this down here. And your skill ceiling could be here. And so your play will generally be in this range. So sometimes you'll be having a really good day and you'll be playing up here for a while. You'll start to slump, but then you'll come back, and then just one day you'll plummet all the way down here. You'll rise back up the next day, and then you'll fall back a little bit. You'll stay in the middle for a little while, maybe going up and down, just like that for a while. And so this is your skill ceiling up here, skill floor down here. So obviously this is not very consistent, so maybe this day you get like 130 ADR in a match. You know, you average around 80. So let's say this is like, you're an average, on average, you're doing your part, you're a good enough player. And then your floor, sometimes you'll just get 30 ADR. Sometimes you really just shit the bed, So I'm going to talk about how you can push these together. And so consistency isn't about always being at your 130 ADR. It's not about making sure that you're always up here. Consistency is about heightening the floor and getting the ceiling and the floor closer together. So maybe your ceiling goes down by 10 points or whatever. You get 120. But your floor goes up, and now you're at 70. So this 70 to 120 is significantly more consistent, one, and it's significantly better. You're never really throwing if you're 70 ADR. So there's certain reasons for being able to do well one day and then completely doing poorly the next. And so let's quickly list some of these reasons. So maybe you're doing well, and that can be caused by, you're just sitting right, you're not tired, not any number of reasons, really. Maybe get it good, get it work, Could be anything, really. And this is why you're like positive, you're feeling good. There's reasons why you could be playing poorly. So that could be you're hungry, you're stressed, you're not focused, you had a bad day at work, or you are under the influence. these are just some examples, right? So we'll go over. Maybe we can start out with sitting right. If you're not sitting right, you one day you lean back 90 degrees JDM style, the next day you're sitting up straight, you're like part of the army. That's not going to foster consistency because you're going to constantly have to adjust, at least at the beginning of your games. You have to adjust to your new position. So you want to be consistently sitting in a comfortable position, but also, you don't want to be slouched all the way back, because that's not going to be ideal for moving your arm and your wrist. So this one's pretty easy, right? You can get that one down. You're not tired. You can't always control that. So maybe you can control that 50% of the time. You're not hungry. You can control that pretty damn easily. You're not on influence. You can control that pretty damn easily. You had a good day at work, maybe you just can't control that. So that's a random aspect. But you really want to focus on why you're playing poorly. Because you're obviously trying to raise your floor. You're not trying to raise your ceiling. So playing well, these things will raise your ceiling. These things will raise your floor. Or doing the opposite of these things. So you're hungry, obviously. We talked about that. You can combat that. Your strength, you can't always combat that. So we'll give that like 50%. You're not focused. There is actually a way that you can combat that. So I'll give that like 75% of the time you can combat that. You had a bad day at work, can't do anything about that. You definitely can do something about that. So really, this is just like a basic list. But the thing that I wanted to talk about how you can gain some more consistency is doing things habitually. So when I get on to play Counter-Strike, first thing I do, I go to aimbox, I load in. It's the first thing I do every day I play Counter-Strike for the most part. I lower my volume to 0.01 because I don't want to hear it as loud. I still want to hear it, so I get used to the in-game sounds as well. And I'll just start killing bots. So I go for 1,000. Obviously you don't have to go for 1,000. You can go for however many you like. If you're doing other things, see, I only do aimbots, recoil master, and then optium. Those are my 3 main things that I'll go through, and so I prefer to do a lot of this. And this, you want to make sure that you're focusing on 1, warming up your arm movement, and then 2, warming up your wrist movement. So wrist, you put your arm comfortably, and you flick with your wrist. So this is fully extended to the right, and then fully extended to the left. And that's my range of motion. That's my precision range of motion. That's pretty high, right? For closer, it's not as high, but still, I can consistently move the same distance. So you want to warm up that. So you want to do, sometimes you're just moving with your wrist, but you also want to go for the longer flicks sometimes. So sometimes you want to move your wrist, or you want to move your whole arm, and then use your arm for the wide movement, and then your wrist for the precision. So then I flick with my arm, and then wrist to move on to this guy, wrist to move on to this guy, that guy, and then I'll look over here, I'll use my arm to flick around over here, then I'll use my wrist over here. And what that's doing is that's making sure that I feel comfortable doing whatever I need to do in game. And then I'll move on to recoil master. So the biggest thing with this is you're doing the same things. You're not, one day you're not playing Valve DM, the next day you're playing FFA, the next day you're playing Op DM, the next day you're doing recoil master and only recoil master. want to be making sure that you're doing the same things. That's going to help with your focus as well. It's going to help get you in like the zone and get ready. So thing I do every time. So on the first range, I'll get 10 sprays with that. So say I do 10 right there. Then I'll do this guy. And I'll do 10 sprays with that. I'll see where my percentage is. I'll move on to the next one. Do 10 sprays with that. See where my percentage is. I like to compare them to see if I'm actually improving, but you don't have to. It's optional. And this one, and I stop at range 3 because I know I shouldn't be spraying at that range. It's more of a burst range, or even like a short burst or a short spray sort of thing. So there's no reason to warm that up in Recoil Master. So I'll do that, and then I'll do the same thing for the M4. I'll do 10 sprays with the Ghost Tear. Then I'll turn on the terrorist target, turn off the Ghost Tear. And then I'll do 10 sprays range 1, 10 sprays range 2, 10 sprays range 3. And then I'm done. And I'm done with Recoil Master for the day. And then that's when, so if you're playing with the op a lot, like Thomas or I would be, you can go refresh, just search up op, refresh, then these ones with like the op symbol, find one that's got a lot of people, so 18 out of 24 is a good server. Otherwise, just search up FFA, refresh, and you can join a Tarek server, you can join a pistol server if you really want to, or you can join the myriad other servers. So the idea is you're doing the same thing every day to warm yourself up, to get ready for playing Counter-Strike. It doesn't matter how long it takes. You know, you can do something that only takes 5 minutes. You can do something that only takes 10 minutes. Obviously, if you get it up to like the 20-minute range, that's going to be ideal. In my experience, it seems like if you dedicate 20 minutes to warming up, that's like the best time for me to be able to get comfortable with the game again. I go a little bit longer because I like to also use it as a practice session, but you don't have to be doing that. So I go generally like 30 minutes, and then I'll incorporate OpDM and then FFADM. So that's what I do. So that will help you with your consistency, it'll help you get in the zone, it'll help you stay focused, and it'll help really get down the fundamentals. So next up, we'll be moving to positioning. How to position and play off of what's going on the other side of the map. What do you have to do / pay attention to besides what is in front of you, and how do you vary your play style to not just get hard countered. So we'll hop in to a game on Inferno real quick, and I'll show you some of these ideas. Because I think we have down how to play off of your teammates pretty well. How to play off your teammates that you can see. And I'll go over more in depth on what that means once I load in. over real quick how to play off your teammates that are right in front of you. This is the easy part. This is the part that we probably already know. So, teammates are right in front of you. Let's say you're playing 2 banana. You're playing one guy here, back of sandbags, and the other guy is opping here. Right? So you know that once that guy shoots, obviously he's gonna have seen somebody. So that means that you have to really wake up, get focused, and then get ready for a push, either right there, or you can swing into somebody and try to catch them off guard, because they're going to be focused on the opper. They're going to be trying to trade this person because they likely just killed somebody and are falling back. So the terrorists are likely rushing in, and that's when you can either stay here, wait for them to come in, and spray them down, or you can swing on them. If you want to swing, you probably want to get closer to the sandbag. So the thing about swinging, like randomly, is you're going to swing from back here, and you'll be able to see them, but they'll be able to see you and react quicker. Or you can swing from close, and if you're quickly swinging, like wide swinging like that, if you're wide swinging, you want to be close. If you're not wide swinging, like let's say you're back here, and you just want to swing out like that, you want to be farther away from the prop. So close swing, or wide swing here, close swing here. So that's the idea. Then we'll go. So we already know that, right? Or if you're the op falling back, you can also incorporate. You know that this guy's going to be pushed, so you can incorporate a flash that goes like that, and then this person over here knows that flash, if it ever comes, obviously they want to be looking away. They know where that flash is going to land. They hear the flash pop, they swing. That's a good way to play off of the fact that when you get a kill and you're falling off, they're probably going to try to trade you. So you can flash so that when they come, they're coming at you, right? And they're probably not even seeing that. They're probably so focused on trying to kill the opper, and then this guy can swing out and probably multi-frag. So that's the thing right there, playing off each other that you see. Then playing off what's going on the other side of the map, not just what's in front of you. So this has a lot to do with, let's say we lose top mid control on A side. So they smoke right there. They flash me off the angle. They push in. Maybe they double peek. I have to fall off. I probably drop a smoke here. I'm trying to fall off. Hold this angle maybe, but obviously that's a risky angle because of apps. Could be holding something like this. But anyways, we don't have top mid control. What does that mean for banana? It'll probably, most likely, will be called. So that doesn't. So if we lose top mid control, that doesn't mean, oh shit, we lost top mid control. Now we gotta play super passive. Just like drop a smoke and fall back. No. Especially if we lose a person on A, that actually means the opposite. Playing off of each other means that you smoke deep banana. You get a flash from your teammate, whatever. You could flash like right there, and you swing, clear these angles. This guy who flashed where you swings now and helps you and trades if there's a guy there, if they are there. You get up close, and then you smoke it, and the other person goes towards A. So that's playing off of each other, knowing that. Because if they get top mid control, the odds are that there's multiple top mid, there's not just one, which means they're going to be light on banana. Maybe 1 or 2 people. So you definitely don't want to be missing that smoke. You just want to be throwing a deep smoke. And throwing this deep smoke is super easy. Bounce it off of that wall. It lands every time. Because it doesn't have to be exact, because the smoke is way bigger than this corridor. So that is one way of playing off of what's going on the other side of the map. Another way is we can look at T side, and let's say Matthew and I push into apartments, and we trade a guy here. So Matthew dies, I trade it. It's an actual example. I can't remember when it happened. And then if you guys don't have top banana control, that needs to be your cue to take it. Like molly right there. Probably actually that's a dangerous molly, but you can flash, peek, and then start taking it, start walking out. Obviously make sure that nobody swings right there. And then you can start thinking about throwing a flash over there for your teammate that's already pushed up here. Again, that's playing off of people who are right in front of you that you can see, that you can easily communicate with. Just flashing for your teammate, and then they'll swing. And then you take top banana control. So now you want to think about how you would feel on the CT side if certain things happened. So your teammate just went down on A, and what is a common response to somebody dying on A? Well, you rotate one towards A a lot of the time, right? But if you're trying to hold rotates, you taking top banana control, even with that flash and then peeking out, you can throw this nade, wait for it to explode, then swing off of it and pre-fire. Because in that nade smoke, an opera who's positioned here probably will not be able to see you, as you can see. Like, it's hard to see. So especially with an op, I can show you how it looks with an op. So obviously the opera will be close to this back wall, nade will come over. Like, it's not perfect, but it'll also like disorient them, because obviously the nade just came in, right? And so they're gonna be worried about how they just took 44 damage from an HE grenade, and then it's 2 bullets. All you gotta hit is 2 bullets, and that's an easy pre-fire. Like 2 bullets, you can easily just pre-fire it. So that's something to keep in mind. But that's gonna hold rotates B, because now you have top banana control. We don't even have to have top mid control. But now that's gonna hold him in a 2-2. And if you hold him in 2 on A, 2 on B, that makes an A exec way more effective. So if you smoke arch, somebody flashes up mid for a double peek, one guy peeks here, one guy peeks here, we take top mid control, then suddenly we have a lot of room to play with. So then we could flash through here like that, and peek in. We could smoke that, or we could smoke moto, and then we could wrap B. We'd be running into 2 people, but we know that it's at most 2 people. There's no way that they're gonna have 3 there, right? And a lot of times you're running into 2 people on the B side anyways, and you're wrapping. And so when you wrap around, think about how easy it is to push up on the banana when you don't have to worry about CT. Teammates have CT covered, so you could just throw like a smoke offense. You could throw a molly towards sight, on top of there, and then first oranges, and then coffins is more or less smoked. Then on your entrance, you could throw a molly new box. Obviously, you'd want to throw it from behind here, and then think about all you have. The only things you really have to clear are dark, second oranges, fountain, and then once you get up onto sight, coffins. But the problem with somebody playing coffins is that they're getting pushed from CT. And so you want to be thinking about how the CTs are going to react. If you get to pick A, are they going to try to rotate one? If they're going to try to rotate one, don't let them. that can be an effective thing a lot of the time, especially even if they get 1 kill, and then so it's a 4v4, right? And then get a kill, it's a 3v3. Then you want to really slow down, because you know that there's going to be at most 2 people on A site right now, and you don't know if there's 3 on A site and there's 0 on B or otherwise. And so this is when you listen. Like, your lurk players or everybody just needs to listen, and you listen for footsteps. So if we have a mid player, you can stand here, you can hear him rotate speedway. If they re-smoked B right here, right, you can stand here and listen to speedway and listen to if anybody rotated, and that's your dead giveaway. If you hear somebody rotating B, well, that means they only have 1 on A, because they obviously already re-smoked this, so you know there's at least 1 on B site. And so that's when you can throw a smoke CT, call for an A hit, call like, oh, they rotated 1, which means these last 2 A players can push up and hopefully trade on this guy. You know, obviously they're going to be wanting to throw nades and still check everything. Still check everywhere on site. But that should be an easy round win. There's no reason to ever lose at 3v3 on the terrorist side, unless it's some god tier sort of retake. So that's how you pay attention to what's going on the other side of the map. It takes time. But obviously, if you have any questions, you can bring them up during the game. It's not that deep. How should you vary? Our next one is, what do you have to do / pay attention to besides what is in front of you? Pay attention to, 1, not flooding the comms, so that you can actually pay attention to what's going on the other side of the map. On the other side of the map, if you're this B player, right, and you're calling, oh, I'm gonna flash for you, and then you're gonna peek, and then you're gonna flash for me, and then I'm gonna peek, and then we're gonna double molly banana, and then we're gonna double nade it, and then we're gonna fall back. We're gonna fall back because they like playing aggressive. We're just gonna smoke this off, and then we're gonna pray to God that nothing happens. I'm gonna play towards Stark, and then you're gonna play towards Coffin. You're like, okay, I don't actually like playing Coffin, so I'm gonna play towards second oranges. No. Like, think about all the information that you just missed from A. Like, for all you know, I think Thomas is now the bow play. Thomas is called, they smoked me off. Dylan's called, they smoked me off. And I've called that there's a third smoke A, and they're executing A. And they're flashing us off. And you don't know anything about it. So that's why it's a big thing that you need to be making sure that you're not flooding the comms. Only call what you need to, only talk about what you need to, and make sure that you have ways to describe things that are going on, or describe what you want to do. So for example, at the start of the round, it's okay to flood comms. You can be like, okay, Harry, you can be like, oh, Matthew, I think that they're gonna push this hard on banana, so we should double molly and then just have our guns out and then just hold. So along comes this, the double molly, and you guys just hold, and everything's good. You guys don't have to call anything else for a little bit. Then you can call, let's get aggressive, or I'm smoking deep banana. I don't know what that bounced off of, but you wanna call I'm smoking deep banana, let's push. And then you can double push it after the smoke pops, or you can call something else, you know, it doesn't matter. So that's another thing, is making sure that you're not saying too much, you're not flooding the comms. Another example could be at the beginning of the round, or mid-round even, I could ask Dylan for a boost, right, over this smoke, and then I don't have to say I'm smoking mid, stand right here where I'm shooting, walk over here, crouch. I'll tell you when to jump up or release crouch, and then I'll jump up and then stay there until I shoot. No. Like, we already have that down. We can just say mid boost, and then we'll do it. Obviously, if Dylan's like, oh, you know, I don't think it's a good idea, I think they're actually gonna push, I have a read on this, that's fine. That's okay to say, but you don't have to flood the comms, right? Or if they smoke this off, or if, yeah, they smoke this off, or we smoke this off, and then I say, Dylan, tell me when that smoke fades. I don't know what to say. Dylan, I'm peeking into boiler. My ass is gonna be fucking hella exposed to mid. So please, for the love of God, tell me when the smoke fades. No, you just tell me when the smoke fades. And he tells me when the smoke fades. Except for the round that I asked him to do that, and he didn't tell me. But you know, I'm not bitter. And then the last thing for positioning is how should you vary your playstyle to not just get hard countered. So let's say you're doing the same thing. You're mollying here, mollying there. So when you think about it, if they don't push, what have you done? Nothing. You've wasted $1,200, that's it. Or maybe you've deterred a push. But if you're doing this every round, you didn't deter a push because there wasn't going to be one. Right? So you need to vary your playstyle. You need to make sure that some rounds you can double molly, and then maybe even drop an HE if they think that they can get, you know, sort of a little countery and just smoke it off. You know, smoke your molly and run up. You know, that's what the HE's for. And then spray them down through the smoke. Some rounds you want to take just top banana control. You know, some rounds, there's rounds where you don't actually want to take banana control. Like, let's say the terrorists are using hella utility, right, on B every round. So they're running up, they're mollying car every round, then they're double nading corner, then they're mollying sandbags, they're using flashes over, and then they're peeking off of that. Now, if they're doing that a lot of the time, how do you counter that? Well, there's two ways, and there's not a right or a wrong way, really. The wrong way, I guess, is standing there and taking all the nades and dying. But you can either throw counter nades, like an incendiary there and there, and you can take this fight, or you could play passive. Because think about how much utility they just used. So they mollied here, they double naded there, so, and then they mollied there at the beginning of the round. They double flashed over, so that's a molly, and maybe even a smoke. Maybe throw a molly just to bait out their smoke grenade on the molly if they want to go for a fast banana stick. So they've used smoke, a molly, 2 HEs, and 2 flashes, or 2 mollies. So think about how much utility you've just wasted on theirs. And what if you're not even there? So that's the thing about varying it up. Varying up your playstyle could actually be overpowered as shit. Because if you condition them to know that these 2 mollies means that you're taking this peak, or these 2 mollies mean that you're holding top banana and you're going to hold on to it for like the whole round. You need to condition them that. So that when you feel like they just got crushed on A after they got crushed on B or whatever, they lost on A, they lost on B, they're going to come back to B maybe, so you throw those 2 mollies and you just dip. Maybe they call the timeout to see what's going on, and you need to counter that timeout. You need to think to yourself, what are they talking about during their pause? They're probably talking about how to counter something. So why don't we throw those 2 mollies and then just play sight, let them use their util, so that we have plenty of utility. Like, think about it. You still have a smoke, a flash, and an HE, at least. So you can delay still, not a lot. So you could throw a smoke. And you want to be careful about this smoke. You don't want to just throw it, because your smokes are actually really helpful. So say they smoke coffins They smoke CT. They molly dark. They molly first oranges. Molly it on top of the box so it actually spreads both. Think about how much damage that you just did to their utility if you do that. Or let's say you have a molly. You throw the smoke, you throw a molly. Like, the odds of them winning if they push that is next to 0. So, and all this util lasts long enough for you to wait out all of this too. So by throwing 2 nades, you've countered 1, 2, 3, 4 nades at least, plus their flashes that they're probably throwing in. So that's how you vary your playstyle. Some rounds you want to get aggressive bananas, some rounds you don't. I'll give an example on some rounds maybe you just want to sit and pick. This would be ideal when you think their eco's hurting, or you just think that they're going to go for an apps pop. But a lot of eco rounds is just run out of abs off of chimney smoke or chimney flash. So the thing there is you want to make sure that you're ready for that. Especially if you've been going aggressive in apps. Say you're opping and then you take this peak bridge. You get a pick and you fall off, right? If you're doing that, you don't want to do it every round, because then this guy, bridge, maybe they'll send their opera there and then he's just holding it like that. So it's super hard to hit him and he's got an easy shot at you and you just die instantly. You can't be doing the same thing every round or you're just going to get countered. That's the biggest thing. If you're playing aggressive in apps on a gun round, that's fine. You get this pick, you fall off. Maybe, but you definitely want to be communicating that. So if you're the bout player and you're like, I want to get aggressive apps and peek this angle, you need to make sure that 1, top mid is smoked. 2, that you have a player in boiler that's holding this angle or holding an angle like this. Maybe even an angle like this. This is a pretty good angle because you can't be seen from bridge, but you can hold this because they're going to be jumping up and you'll be able to see them pretty damn easily and you'll get to jump on them. So you need to be able to communicate that, because if you're pushing this, or even if you're holding this, let's say you get a kill, you're starting to fall back, knife out, and this guy just swings on you. He runs out here and he's like, no, fuck you, and you die. Well, what was the point of your pick? Your pick was actually negative value for the team. So you need to make sure that you're playing with your teammates that you can't see, but you need to make sure that you can see them in a way. Just smoke that, this angle, and this guy peeks down here. So this is just some examples on Inferno of how to play with your team, how to vary your play style so you don't just get hard countered, and then what do you have to pay attention to. So I'll give a quick overview on what you have to pay attention to as well, because I think this is a big one. You have to pay attention to 1, the kill feed, 2, the minimap, and 3, the comms on the other side of the map, which means you cannot be flooding your comms, because just think about it, that's like the most annoying thing, is when the people on the other side of the map are just talking and talking and talking, and you can't hear anything that's going on your side of the map. What are you meant to do? You can't do anything. So that's about it for positioning. Impact. How do you make an impact on the outcome of the game? When do you keep going and when do you stop trying to make an impact play? So there's impact plays and there's obviously like non-impact or supportive plays. I think this is probably best demonstrated on the terrace side. So, what's an impact play? What's not? So, if you are in a 2v2 and you get 1 kill and die, you probably did not do an impact play. You probably went negative. So you're like that, and then so let's say it's 2v2 retake on B, right? So CT smoked, and then 2v2 bomb planted like here, or default, whatever. You can actually plant on top of this, which is pretty useful, so you don't get spammed through that coffin. And then you just decide, fuck it, I'm going through this smoke, flash through. You kill one person, their guy just trades you instantly. Was that an impact on the outcome of the game? Sure, but you know, honestly, it was probably a negative impact. Because now you've left this person in a 1v1, right? And it's an uncomfortable 1v1 as well. Like, let's say that the guy who killed you has full util. So they smoke banana, they molly dark, and then they flash in. Like, they flash high or whatever. However they want to do it. If your guy was playing dark, then he's mollied out, and you probably lost him the round by dying and not being able to trade. So that's the big thing about trading, is since they were able to trade the frag and you couldn't actually trade, you're now the defense. Trading is actually bad when you're the defense. Trading is good when you're the offense. So that's the thing about Counter-Strike, is before the bomb is planted, trading is good for the terrorist. After the bomb is planted, trading is bad most of the time, unless it's obviously like a 5v2 and then you trade 1 for 1. That's fine, but just going even, you know, like 2 versus 2 goes down to 1 versus 1. That starts to favor the CTs. Obviously, time is on the terrorist's favor, but a lot of time that doesn't matter. So that's an example of a non-impact play. An example of an impact play is, let's say it's a 5v5 at the beginning round. You know, you would call this like fast up banana. You throw those nades properly so they don't hit you. So you throw that nade over there. That nade actually lands there. You run up. You kill this guy. You keep running. Some guy behind you smokes CT, and you get the entry on the second guy. You pretty much guarantee sight. That's an impact play. You've single-handedly won your team the round, unless they royally fuck it up. So that's an impact play. And when do you know when to stop? So there's sometimes when you don't want to make a huge impact. You want to make an impact, but not a huge impact. So that kill the first guy, you don't actually want to always run through this molly. You know, you'll take a bit of damage, and then you don't want to just swing on this guy and die. If you swing and die, your impact is a lot less. 4v4 is fine on the terrorist side, but 4v5 is a hell of a lot better. And when do you not want to? Well, let's say the call was to play it slow. You just had a good banana spawn, right? And then they actually throw that molly properly. And then you got 2 teammates in apps. You got a teammate watching mid push, and you have a teammate, banana, who is helping you. He's the one who would have thrown that smoke. Maybe he flashes you in or something. But given that your team is on the entirely other side of the map, and it's so spread out, you need to stop right there. You don't need to take peeks that you don't need to. You got the pick. Now it's on the CTs to decide how they're going to do it. So that's when it goes to like a game of listening. You listen for the rotates on A. If they rotate towards B, they're going to be light on A. If they don't, they're light on B. And that's when the regrouping starts. You know, maybe you fake out A. You didn't hear a rotate, right? So you fake out A just to keep them there for a little bit longer, and then you just start dashing, like making a mad dash over towards B. And then the 2 players that are already banana, person mid groups up with them, and then they triple entry on site, flash out, and they take sight. You know, they kill the guy who's like 60 blocks or something down. Maybe second oranges, trying to delay. So that's when you need to stop. You need to stop when your team is not in a position to capitalize off of more impact. Like, if bomb is towards A, you make no impact taking B site, but you lose the impact that you already got if you die. So you need to be thinking about that in your head. Like, what is the state of our map control? What is the state of where our teammates are? And how is this game playing out? Or what is the economy on the other team even is a good question. So if they're on a save round and you molly this, you've killed one person. You don't know how many people are sitting on the other side of that guy. That could be a huge bait. So you don't want to drag your team into that, especially if you're bomb. So that's about it for impact. I'll go over a CD side example actually real quick. So let's say you are Banana, right? You have a teammate Sandbags, and it's that op combination that I was talking about earlier. So like Thomas and Harry. So Thomas takes a shot, flashes for Harry. Now let's say Harry like sees like 5 people over there, or 4 people, because Thomas just killed one. He can kill one, right, and then duck behind here, but like a stump, right? We all know that's stump. You need to commit. So you need to commit to getting more kills, because Thomas can't help you anymore. He's run back to the site. And when you're alone, but you have a player as a backup, Thomas is the backup in this instance, that means you can go for the play. You can go for some sort of crazy play where maybe you're here, right? Say it's a different situation, and Thomas is playing like this angle. He gets a kill, right? And you're here. Then you can go for that impact play and swing into Banana. That's fine. That's when you keep going. That's when you build the momentum and you keep the keep like the boulder tumbling, you know. You keep the snowballing effect. You don't want to just get the kill. I mean, obviously it depends on the situation, right? Like if you hear a lot of Banana, swinging into Bananas is a death sentence. So instead you maybe want to molly it. But if you don't hear anybody react to that kill, that Thomas kill, you can swing. You can take deep Banana control after you swing, you know. Like you can do a lot of things, but there are times to keep it going and stop. An example would be like mid. So let's say they smoked lane, right? And you're here, right? So you flash out that, you swing, you kill one, you don't stop. You can't stop. If you stop and you try to fall back, you're probably dead. So you're pretty much dead right away. So you just have to go for it. You just have to say, okay, I'm going to commit to this spray. I'm going to pray that my aim is better than theirs and my recoil is better than theirs. And I'm just going to pray that I can kill them. And that's fine, because you have 2 other people on a site if it's a 5v5. The story is completely different if you're like soloing A. You don't want to be the last line of defense and die. So you can get your kill, fall off. But you want to play positions where it makes sense. This position doesn't make much sense if you're the only one on A. Because you get the kill, you die, they have A site. Maybe they don't know it, who knows. But they have A site. Position like pit makes more sense. You get a kill, you can fall off. That's when you stop. Let's say you get a kill, you literally are looking at 3 more people, but as soon as you get the kill, you can fall off. And that's fine. And you can flash for yourself. Flash right over. Maybe get another kill. Maybe go for another one. Or the safer and probably more impactful play. See, you can make impact by not doing anything as well. So you get a kill, right? And then maybe an impact play is dropping a smoke on yourself. So you can back up, get on top of the bicycle, kill somebody there. Or just sit behind the smoke and then try not to get spammed. Hold for the drop out of Alk, hold up there as well. And that's an impactful play, because think about what they have to do now. Like the terrorists, if it's smoked, they can't just molly you out. So they have to worry about you this whole time while they're taking site. You're buying so much time for them your other teammates to come and retake. So you already made your impact. You trying to make more and you dying is actually losing all the impact that you made. Like I said earlier on the T side, it's about if I die and by losing the team all of the impact that I've already made on the round outcome, am I swinging it back into the other team's favor to win? If the answer is yes, well then you need to stop. If the answer is no, then you can keep going if you feel comfortable with it. This video is getting kind of long, so I'll try to quickly go over the grenades, what is useful and what isn't. Okay, well, this one is really easy. I see a lot of grenades thrown like this. Like, if somebody's holding this angle, do you really think they're not going to see that? In what world do they not see that? Now, take for instance a better grenade. That one wasn't very good. And it bounces off that. They're holding it, right? You know, they still see that, but they're less likely to see that. Especially if they're here. Right? Like, yeah, it doesn't full blind them, but it blinds them a decent amount. Or if they're holding that. So there's a difference between good and bad grenades, and it all comes down to how long it's in their vision. So the further back you throw a grenade, the higher you throw a grenade or a flash, the less likely they are to see it, or the less time it'll be in their vision. So that's why this mid pop flash is from here, so that it doesn't spend much time in the counter-terrorist vision. So they see it for that long. Like, you really think they're going to be able to react off of that? No, logically not. So that's a good grenade. Now, if you throw a grenade like this, like, let's look at that. Yeah, it's all right. But now let's say you throw a grenade like that. I think we can already tell. Yeah, that's actually terrible. So that's the difference. You can go with that with smokes too. A smoke here is terrible. A smoke here is good. It's really just with flashes is the main concern that I'm seeing. Is I'm seeing a lot of bad flashes. I'm seeing flashes that are like, oh, I'm gonna flash for myself like that. Like, that's not gonna work most of the time. And if you want evidence of that, you know, you can have your one example, but the amount of flashes we're throwing versus the enemy's flashed is very low, which means we're not throwing very good flashes. How can I use my grenades to create an impact is another question. Well, this flash. You want to be flashing for other people. You don't want to be flashing for yourself a lot of the time. So if you're throwing like a gun flash over here, you're not flashing for yourself, right? You're flashing for your team to pop out. So you're flashing so that your team can hug this wall and then peek out off of the flash, because you full blinded everybody on site. So that's how your flash makes an impact. That's how you as a support player can make a huge impact, even if you're not the star player. It is by flashing your teammates in. Dying with utility versus using in the first 20 seconds of the round is the last one, which is actually really annoying. So if it's not a B rush and you're going like this, you're just like, woo, I don't want to die with all my utility, woo. Like, what did that even do? Like, you didn't smoke off this, first of all. You didn't see through this. So you can push that knowing that you're not there. Your molly was useless. Your flash is also useless because obviously they're not going to get flash because they're not pushing it. And your HE, like, who's that supposed to explode on? Nobody. So you don't want to use all of your utility at the beginning of the round, but you don't want to die with a lot of utility. So if you're the B player, you want to be hanging on to utility, but you want to be hanging on to your life as well. You know, you don't want to be hanging on to utility just to make a stupid peak like that. This peak is kind of a low util peak. If you don't have a lot of utility, maybe you have one smoke. You smoke that first, and then you peek. It's fine. You're not dying with utility. But if you have like full util, it's okay to fall off a banana because Giga, we talked about this earlier, how much you can do with one smoke and one molly. So you smoke that, you molly that, smoke it a little bit better so there's no gap. Like, that's good. You dying with it is not. So if you're a new box, you hear a B exec coming and you have all this utility, like, what are you doing? Use it. You know, you can throw a molly here, just the same way that they molly new box. You throw a smoke here. Smoke there is actually really good because you can start playing around this pillar, and their molly, new box, extinguishes. So if you want to play new box and they molly new box a lot, drop a smoke there when you hear the execute coming. Like, think about how wide this thing is. New box, not that wide. Easy to flick between them. Think about how hard it is to flick between that angle and that angle. That's a hell of a lot harder than flicking between those two angles. And then, so yeah, you can throw your molly there. So you're halting a B push from new box. Throw your smoke here so you don't get mollied out. And then maybe you can just lob an HE there. And let's say you got a guy playing coffins, he gets smoked out, right? If you want him to push that smoke, you need to flash for him. He's not gonna push that with nothing, with no utility, right? So if you molly this, you know you have like a few seconds. You want to wait here like a second, wait to see if anyone pushes it, and you have a few seconds to line up a flash, sort of like that. So anybody who's holding coffins gets flashed, and then they can push this smoke off that flash. They can push and then help you out on site. So that's how you want to use your utility to have impact. Mid-round, if you haven't used it already, which is ideal, you don't want to use it in the first 20 seconds of the round. It's okay to use 2 mollies at the beginning of the round if you think they're in a rush, you know. But ideally, you just want to be using 1 at the beginning of the round, and then maybe an HE, maybe 2 HEs. 2 HEs isn't a bad idea because think about how much you're going to be doing with an HE grenade if they're going B. Not much. So you want to do that early damage. And it also deters banana rushes. I think we'll skip procedures for the most part. I'll go over it real quick. What do I do in X situation with a Y player? So really, it's just going to take time to think about, you want to think about things a lot if you want to actually learn what to do in certain situations. I want to be thinking about what you would do if you were the opposing team and how you should react to that, given that you'd react in a certain way. So if they get to pick B, then maybe you rotate your arch player. So how do you exploit that on the T side? What you want to be thinking about? Well, you can smoke lane and take arch, because their arch player is the first player to rotate. Now, how do they react to that? They may send their bout player Moto. How do you react to that? You smoke Moto, and now you have arch control. So you want to think about how they're gonna react to something that you do, and then your counter reaction to that, and how they're gonna react to that, and then what you need to finally do to do what you want to do. And yeah, that's about it.